Do you think there's any value to when you want to sell something, show them the potential through data or metrics? You think you don't need something like that?
I mean, incentives go huge, right? If someone's pushing back against you and you don't know why, this happens a lot. This kind of straw man argument where it's like, well, I don't like it because of this. Okay, well, we can neutralize that. We can descope this. Well, I don't know if the timing's right. Okay, well, let's move the timing. It's like always some other growing, there's always some pushback. What it is you're arguing against their, in a negotiation, it's called positions versus interests, right? You're arguing against their positions. And the position is what you say in a negotiation, and an interest is the underlying reason you're saying all those things. So you can go play whack-a-mole with all those different ideas, and you're never going to get anywhere because they're always going to find some other thing. You're not understanding what's really going on under the surface. And so I do think that that's the first place to start. That doesn't mean we don't have to then come with evidence. So if we understand that PM wants to hit their metrics, they're going to get fired, or they're afraid of that, they're a brand new PM, no one's helping them, they're underwater, they're freaking out. That's where the empathy comes in. You're like, oh, you're new, you're freaking out, you're underwater, let me help you. There's still a million ways. This is why we do design thinking and brainstorming, right? You can put a bunch of Post-it notes up on the wall and say, all right, there's a million ways we can help this person. There's a million products we can ship. There's a million ways we can shape this feature. You still then need evidence to choose which direction to go. I like to frame it that way specifically. It's not always just about data. Data is a good entry point. And I think what happens is designers get stuck when we think about data and how product teams think about data. They think about it this way, and then they pigeonhole us, and then we have to think about it this way, and we get stuck. We need to get unstuck. So again, negotiation tactic. If someone puts you into a specific frame, can you reframe the conversation to get out of that like kind of hole you've been dug and put into? And so if someone's like, well, we have to have an A/B test, we have to get data. That's one form of data. You can also look at past A/B tests to say, like, we've done similar tests 3 times before. You can look at other types of historical or performance data. You're like, look, this conversion rate is dropping over time. A good example of that is when I did the live order tracking project for DoorDash, I looked at the funnel on the website, and it was like a classic funnel, right? You've got a lot of people on the homepage, and then it drops and it drops and it drops until they get to checkout. And then the page where people watch their orders had 3 times as many views as the homepage because people were there hangry, refresh, 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 refresh. Where's my food? Where's my food? Where's my food? And so it's like, okay, I didn't run an A/B test, but I got some kind of data to say there might be something to explore here. And if people are that hangry, refreshing obsessively, 3 times more page hits than there are on the homepage of the site, those people are probably contacting support. They're probably calling their driver and distracting them and while they're in traffic, being like, where the heck are you? None of those things are good. And so that was a good point of evidence. Another great point of evidence would be like competitive analysis. At DoorDash specifically, we weren't paying drivers very flexibly. We'd pay out drivers every week. So if you dashed on Tuesday, you wouldn't get paid until next Monday. So there's no like immediate gratification there. And you've got Uber then, who's launching Uber Eats, who pays out drivers up to 5 times a day on demand. So we were falling way behind. So I looked at some competitive analysis and said, we're the last, we're the least flexible payment. If we want to like get people on the road because we have a supply shortage, we want them to dash right now, get off your couch, put on your pants and go do deliveries for us. Like we can't say then, and we'll pay you next week. It's like, no. There's like a disconnect between how urgently we need you and then how long we expect you to wait to be paid. So those types of evidence, competitive analysis, performance data, not just A/B testing data, industry benchmarks, any of those types of things are things you can bring to the table to be more compelling and convincing.
Yeah, I really like your example of live order tracking. Quick example, I found myself ordering Domino's last week and I was literally on their homepage and I was like, what's going on? Where's the status? I'm not getting notified. There's no progress bar. There's no stage. And I was just like very anxious as a customer that just gave you a bunch of money and basically I don't know what's happening. And I really felt it. And I was like waiting downstairs like, is my pizza coming? Should I order another pizza?
Firstly, it's an e-commerce like convention. If I order something off Amazon, I expect to get updates, right? And so by not meeting those expectations, you're going to irritate people already. And then food specifically is like my blood sugar's dropping. I'm having physiological reactions in my body that is changing my emotional state and my feelings towards your brand, where I'm like getting that fight or flight. I'm hungry, I'm starving. For me, I've got kids and I'm like, they're starting to hit each other because they're so hungry. Like, I need to know what's going on, bro. So I think it's one of those things where it's realizing what's happening for the user, hugely important, right? they're not bad for contacting support. They're just hungry and we need to get them their food and we need to set expectations. It's an e-commerce industry, best practice, and it's going to save us a ton of money. I don't think we ever ran the calculation on this, and this is an important point I'll make. I don't think we ever ran the numbers on this, because when you're at a fast moving startup, you're like, that makes sense, let's build that. And then we did, and then you keep building upon it. And probably they ran the numbers on it eventually, but we didn't, as far as I know, project how much money it would save us, debate that, go back and say how much money did it save us. We built it and we moved on to the next thing. And that's the thing, is when it comes to evidence and ROI and some of these things, the way that business decisions are made are through enough evidence that you can reach a certain degree of consensus. And so it's not about having the perfect numbers. Some companies are like, no, we have to have perfect data. Cool. Like Uber's like super data obsessed. Got it. That's their culture. Some cultures are not that way. Some companies don't have perfect data. If you're like a 4-person startup, you just have tea leaves that you're trying to read all the time. You don't have statistically significant data. You don't have millions of users, but you still have to make decisions every day based on the best available information. And I'm a solopreneur right now. That's the best I can do some days, is like give it a shot, see how it goes, see how it feels next month, and then make an adjustment one way or the other. I try to use data as much as possible, but it's all imperfect. And I'm trying to look as many different diversified signals to get a sense of what the right thing to do is. But if we all had perfect data all the time, no businesses would make any mistakes ever. And that just isn't the case. So I always try to emphasize, look for enough evidence to try to reach some degree of consensus and get some initial allies into whatever your ideas are, and then try to build momentum from there.
Yeah, I think the getting allies is super interesting, and I think is really effective as well.
Want to listen to the full conversation? Click the video on screen now. Subscribe to the channel if you want to join us live. Oh, wait. Okay, fine, you don't have to join us for the live stream, but if you like stuff like this, then click that subscribe button. I'll see you on the inside. Bye!